the internet. This is Sir David the Bard. Anyway, I wanted to do an article. I just read this, and I just thought it's too important just to not report it. You know darn well the Mormon Church pays their apostles and prophets six-figure incomes on a 501(c)(3), which is an IRS tax-deductible corporation. You can pay your they're not employees, they're volunteers, and they're also board of director people, and you can use tithing money for that and screw the people. Now, let me read to you something I just found. This is called a Paisley, P-E-R-E-S-T-R-O-I-K-A, perestroika. And I guess it's a blog, but this guy used to own Mormon Think, or be one of the authors over there. He resigned a couple of months ago in the church. He's got an article here, Saturday, December 8th, 2012, and I'm sure you can pull it up at A. Paisley, Perestroika. Anyway, here it is. Some of you recall my blog in which I expected or speculated on the income of general authorities, primarily based on extraneous sources such as corporate banks and county property and whatever. Recently, I had a chance to read the LDS Mission President's Handbook. Now, I haven't read that. I can't find that quite yet on the computer. I've got the 2000, I think it's the 10 or 11 Church Handbook, and it's there. I have that on my computer, but I haven't read this one. The section on finances, Appendix B, is illuminating. While I cannot supply the handbook without violating copyrights, I'll quote some of the handbook under the Fair Use Clause for educational purposes, which is legal. He can't do it word for word, but he can paraphrase, okay? It begins with this statement. While you are serving as mission president, the church reimburses the necessary living expenses for you, your wife, and your dependent children. The term is necessary. Living expenses. Now let's see what the church pays these guys to be in charge of the missionaries. These necessary living expenses include food, clothing, household supplies, family activities, maybe a cruise, I don't know, dry cleaning, personal long-distance calls to family, and modest gifts for Christmas, birthdays, or anniversary. Housing expenses including rent, utilities, telephone, and internet connection, gardening and repair or replacement of household items, which includes hiring a gardener if needed for larger lots, one part-time housekeeper cook, one mission automobile assigned exclusively to the mission president, and any assigned mission vehicles can be used by the wife or the licensed dependents for shopping, taking kids to school, or other needs. This sounds like a good job to me. You think they'll call me to be mission president? I don't know. All right, the following necessary costs are also reimbursed. Medical expenses, all medical expenses, dental, eye care, and medically necessary. Orthodontics, you can get your kids braces. I can't afford braces on my kid. I want to be a mission president. I can get braces for Allison. You get one, let's see, support for children serving full-time missions. In other words, you don't pay nothing. The church pays for them for free if you'll be a mission president. One round-trip fare for each child under 26 to visit the parents' mission. Hey, that's cool. Elementary and secondary school expenses for tuition, fees, books, and materials. Undergraduate tuition at an accredited college or university. Tuition is waived at church-owned schools, so your kids can go to BYU, Church College of Hawaii, BYU, Idaho. They can go up there for free. This sounds like a good job. And you don't have to work. You just have to scare 19-year-olds. I can do that. I was not aware that tuition paying for the child's mission, modest Christmas gifts, and more were necessary living expenses. Now here's what I don't like, okay? Here's what I don't like, and I'm serious about this. The handbook advises the mission president that, quote, any funds reimbursed to you should be kept strictly confidential and should not be discussed with missionaries or other mission presidents, friends, or family members. Gee, there's nothing sacred about that. It's secret, isn't it, Mormons? It's secret. Mission presidents are warned that they should not open a local bank account. Oh my gosh. a paper trail for personal funds received from the church, especially if the account would produce interest, and thus raise income tax questions. Instead of allowing mission presidents control over their personal funds, quote, a joint personal bank account at church headquarters is established for you and your wife. Man, if this ain't mafia stuff, I don't know what is. Listen more. The tax issue raised is addressed more fully in the handbook. The church avoids tax issues by carefully defining the relationship between themselves and the mission president as a, quote, he's a volunteer religious service, so that any funds reimbursed to you from the church are not considered income for tax purposes. They are not reported to the government, and taxes are not withheld with regards to these funds. Boy, I smell Romney losing the election. Full disclosure, I smell Romney and the Mormons losing every election they touch. In order to keep quiet the situation, not only are the mission presidents told not to discuss any funds they receive with any members, as quoted above, but also to, quote, not share information on funds you receive from the church with those who help you with financial or tax matters. You can't even tell your CPA or your accountant when you're doing your taxes. It's sacred. It's sacred, more. It's not secret. It's sacred. Sacred. To never represent in any way that you are paid for your services, and do not list any funds you receive from the church regardless of where you serve or where you hold citizenship. Gee, that's international law, isn't it? Doesn't that cross all states of the United States? But we listen to our God. It doesn't matter what the Pakistan law is. It doesn't matter what Felix gets down there in Ecuador. This is more Joseph Smith. Lying, cheating, and stealing. Okay, let's take a look here. In order to keep quiet the situation, not only are the mission presidents told not to discuss the funds with any family members, but not to have the accountants or the people that help them with financial matters. Don't even tell your attorney. It's against the law to tell your attorney if you're doing this for the church. And do not list any of the funds you receive from the church, regardless of where you serve in a mission or hold citizenship. Man, if you don't think that's breaking the laws of many, many countries throughout the world, you're nuts. Some countries consider this income, but the church doesn't, so the church's laws overcome all the laws of other countries. This secrecy listed in the secret handbook that was formerly only accessible to mission president and general authorities raised the question about the church's lack of financial transparency. Oh my God, it does? First of all, if a mission president gets the benefits of all living expenses, necessary and beyond, paid by the church, including highly expensive benefits like college tuition and gardeners, what do the Quorum of the 70s receive? What do the 12 apostles receive? They're above these guys. Use your imaginations, folks. Secondly, the pretense that the mission presidents are unpaid volunteers is akin to saying CEOs of the corporation aren't millionaires when they're only paid a $200,000 salary, but are gifted $5 million to $10 million bonuses and stocks options. Slippery as a pig. Slippery. What would Jesus do? This is what Jesus would do, because this is what he told Monson to do, Mormons. Okay. What does the IRS say about such lucrative backdoor payments, reimbursements? IRS document is here. I haven't had a chance. Oh, here's a quote on the document. A minister who receives a housing allowance may exclude the allowance from gross income to the extent it is used to pay expenses in providing a home. Generally, those expenses include rent, mortgage interest, utilities, repair, and other expenses directly related to providing the home. I guess that would be a gardener. I guess that would be free tuition. I guess that would be medical, dental. The amount excluded cannot be more than the reasonable pay for the minister's services. So, make it up yourself. I can't take it. I can't take it. One has to question if gardeners, tuitions, dental plans, dry cleaning, Christmas gifts, and more are included in the reasonable pay clause. He's saying it's not, and I'm saying it's not. Hold on. Even though the mission presidents do receive a large allowance, they are told never to disclose it or claim any. So there's no gross income from which they can exclude these reasonable expenses. Tricky, tricky. Tom Phillips, former UK stake president and managing editor of the Mormon Think, who received the second anointing, and I've got a video on that if you're interested, told me in personal email that he was warned the church that payments to mission presidents should be reported to the United Kingdom tax authorities as they were employees under UK tax law. Tom understood. It was discussed at the first presidency meeting with the presiding bishopric, and they decided to continue not reporting and pay any fines when and if they were discovered. This is typical of car companies, corporate car companies that know that there's an airbag or some safety item in a car. If it costs $10 million to fix it and only 30 or 40 people are going to die and they're only going to pay $5 million in death claims, don't fix the bag. That's what these guys are doing. This is what Jesus told them how to get out of the evil U.S. tax system. So they're not paying anything except fines if they get discovered. Quote, unquote. The disclosures found in the well-guarded Mission President's Handbook show that not only are the pay-lay missionary policies fraught with intentional concealment, but give near direct evidence that the general authorities and the apostles receive generous benefits and reimbursement for most of life's necessary expenses. Perhaps these are adjustable on some level, or justified on some level. If so, why wouldn't the church acknowledge them and do more than barely meet the legal requirement rather than acclaim obeying, honoring, and sustaining the laws? It depends on what is what you pay. You pay. I suppose slick DC bureaucrats would be proud of these Mormon leaders. And here's a wonderful picture of the Salt Lake Temple and the money hanging off of the temple. Alright, yeah, I'm still on. Okay, so anyway, I wanted to read that to you. It grosses me out. Maybe the Mormons like it. I don't know. If you like giving your money to the mission president and buying his car and sending his kids to college for free, and you know, the wife can get her hair and her nails done, and these are necessary expenses. Hey, send them their money. They need it. They're almost broke. So if you're a Mormon, good Lord, pay 20% for your tithing. That mall ain't making a dime, and these mission presidents need that money. Now the general authorities, we'll get to them. The internet is the kiss of death for the Mormon Church. I said that almost 2 years ago. Thanks.